Bienvenidos a Zona Kite, el primer programa de TV dedicado al universo del kitesurf y del wingfoil. En Kite en primera persona, conocemos a las próximas generaciones de F1. En Viajando con el Viento, acompañamos al equipo de Duotón en un viaje único a través de República Dominicana. En Kite School aprendemos cómo navegar topside en un wingfoil con la Duotón Wing Academy. En el clip del día, cerramos el programa haciendo kite con patines sobre hielo en pleno Budapest para recibir el invierno en Sudamérica. Llegó la hora de entrar en la zona donde volar es posible. Esto es Zona Kite.
I've been part of the next generation before when I was a kid, and this is, I think, the best memories I had.
For me, I have to give a huge credit to F1 for organizing those next generation camps when I was a kid, because this was kind of a kickstarter to my career.
En 2013, F1 lanzó el equipo Next Generation para ayudar a entrenar y educar a los jóvenes riders. Este año, el campamento se enfocó por primera vez en wingfoil y los 10 jóvenes seleccionados lo dieron todo. Entrenados por los ex-riders de Next Generation, Nicolás Dalmas y Maxime Chablos, fueron a Tarifa para pasar una semana llena de días intensos en el agua, mucho aprendizaje, crecimiento y, por supuesto, risas y diversión.
We are in Tarifa for the first edition of the Wing Next Generation. Tarifa is it's a really famous place for all the water sports because it's windy almost all year long. There's a really good vibes over there.
And we're very lucky here in Tarifa. We have a full week of wind. I think we're going to have wind every single day, all day long.
Coaching 10 grounds and just passing them all the knowledge we've been accumulated since we were competing. Pretty much everything you have to know when you want to become a pro rider.
C'était très bien les coachs. Tito Angalea, il est champion du monde, du coup c'est cool de naviguer avec lui, il est gentil. Maxime aussi, il est gentil. Il m'a appris 2-3 figures. Et Nico, il nous a fait des entraînements physiques.
I think it's a huge step in our lives. We learn so many things here. As much as in the water, as much as outside the water.
The kids are pretty much from all around the world.
Hemos venido aquí a pasarlo bien con Next Generation, a aprender, a mejorar y a todo.
Having different guys around the world here has been a real experience. It's super cool hanging out with all of them, learning where they're from. Yeah, it's super cool. This weekend has been insane.
I'm super stoked about the group, and I think they're all going to do great.
push each other to get better results. We meet new friends, and it's just overall fun.
And so I think it's a very great thing to be able to relate to someone your age, to be able to understand what's possible and what can be done in the sport.
Of course, you can already see a lot of potential in a lot of those kids. So it's super cool to see this kind of level in wing foiling already.
It's been a long night. Black skies glowing. We're losing light. Where am I going? Black skies glowing.
So wing foiling is still a very, very young sport. I mean, but for sure it's a sport with potential. I mean, we've seen it grow so much in those 2 years. It's very easy to learn. And who knows where it's going to be taken. I think we have to take it step by step and kind of develop a better and bigger tour. And yeah, who knows, maybe one day we'll see wing foiling in the Olympics.
A veces, la vida cambia rápido y nunca vuelve a ser la misma. Este viaje a República Dominicana fue para profundizar en la historia de Richard, lo que sucedió, el cambio de su perspectiva y cómo vive hoy en día. Por suerte, lo acompañaron Reno Romeu, Machu López y Olivia Jenkins para ayudarlo a relajarse y disfrutar navegando a merced de los vientos.
The year 2000, when I was about 28, I had a big motorbike crash. Stayed in hospital for a month, realized that one day to the next everything could be over, so might as well live today as if it was the last day and do everything you wanted to do now before it was too late. And in 2005, bought my first boat in the Caribbean. Following your passion, not worrying too much about a future, just living each day, and saying I like kiteboarding, I like sailing, and all things that go together really, really well.
the captain, Richard Scott. He's the man of the boat.
Living the dream, and he just lives whatever he wants, where's ocean. Sometimes he spends 1 month in the South Caribbean, then goes to the North Caribbean and just have been explored the whole Caribbean. He knows pretty much every place, which is good for kiteboarding.
Secret spots, beautiful landscapes, crystal water.
It's really cool to be here with him. Again, it's always nice to hear his stories because, you know, once you live in the sailboat, you have so many things going on that you always have story to tell.
I saw the crash, I was like, fuck, that was insane. Who's this crazy guy, you know?
Tried to keep it a secret for a while.
And then I went to the trip with Richard and someone told me he was the guy from the crash. I was like, no way, man.
We'd seen a guy practicing static line flying. We thought we'd give it a shot, but instead of using the line tied to a rock, we put it to the top of the mast, thinking it would obviously pull us up a little bit more. And it did. It worked quite well. Someone on the boat yelled, "Loop it!" So I thought, that's a good idea. Maybe that'll get me a bit more height. So put in a loop, and didn't realize how high I'd got. I thought I was only maybe 5-10 meters off the ground, and actually it was already 20 meters high. That's when I put in a second kite loop, trying to get a little bit higher, not realizing that I was already at the top of the mast. That put too much strain on the line tying me to the mast, and there was a knot that broke. And so all of a sudden, no tension in the lines. The kite was probably below me, or at the same height, and there was no way of steering it back up to 12, and landed flat on my side, and that was the last thing I remember. You know, woke up in the dinghy about 5 minutes later, being rushed to the shore, not being able to breathe. But yeah, everything ended okay. Just a bit of internal bleeding. Stayed in hospital for a few days in Martinique, you know, and out of action for about a month. But no permanent damage, I don't think. Won't be doing it again in a hurry.
All over his body. He doesn't have a piece of his back. He's like all fucked up somehow. But he's still there kiting. He has a really good kite level.
You gotta feel it in your soul. You gotta believe it, you gotta know. You gotta wake up and dream and go get it. Play your cards like the hand of a winner. Eat your breakfast, but make room for dinner. Gotta hunger for success.
So I think there was around 2 to 3 days staying at Las Terrenas.
The wind wasn't so strong there. We knew about it, but the place was unbelievably beautiful.
It's where we were foiling, and I wing foiled a few times. And then after those few days at Las Terrenas, we decided to take the boat and get started on our boat expedition.
We started sailing west. We have been sailing through the day, through the night, spending 10 hours crossing the ocean.
And then after that expedition, we arrived in Cabarete.
We met with Tom Coor, Paula, and Valentin. We had an amazing session in La Boca, which is one of the best spots for freestyle in the world, I would say, and it's really nice always to catch up.
And then at sunset, we had an amazing session. Paula came out to Bozu Beach and we went wing foiling during this really beautiful sunset, and it stayed windy till like 7 o'clock at night, so that was really awesome. So the following morning, we decided to keep heading west down the coast, set sail, and it was also cranking wind. It was probably like 25 knots at the time. So I decided to pull out the wing, and I was kind of just following the sailboat, which was a really amazing experience. And then Machu and Reno also jumped on the wing after me. It was really cool to watch them. They were killing it. They were doing super good. It was just an hour or two until we arrived at our next destination, which was called Cayo Arena. It's this beautiful blue island in like the middle of nowhere.
And when we got there, it was Sunday, in the end of the day, and It looked like a football stadium with so many people, and we almost got like a bit disappointed when we got there, but we pumped our kite, we went in and we just started jumping over people, over the boats, and everybody was fully drunk, screaming when we were jumping over them. It was really fun. The best experience for me was when we woke up and there was no one in the middle of nowhere with really blue water.
Another day in paradise.
And yeah, it just looked so beautiful. We had a cool, mellow cruising session in the morning.
The next destination, we were heading for this island chain called the Siete Hermanos, which means the 7 brothers.
And it was very surprising, actually. We found this place and it was very windy. It didn't look as good as it was, actually. When I got into the water, when I pumped my kite and I felt like the 27 knots or so that we had, it was so much fun. We're gonna spend some more days here where we are right now in Siete Hermanos. It's really, really calm today here this morning. It's really hard to believe it's gonna be 30 knots today again. I really wish.
And if you follow the winds, they are taking us west. So that's towards Panama, and then you've got the Pacific. So I think the next chapter is the Pacific. I mean, if you get stuck in the Caribbean for 10 years, how long can you get stuck in the Pacific? You know, you go on for until retirement, I think, until I can't hold a rope anymore.
Navegar de towside es una técnica esencial para varios movimientos. Desde jibes o tags hasta los movimientos de freestyle más impresionantes. Navegar de towside significa pararse sobre la tabla con los pies al revés, con los dedos de tus pies apuntando hacia el canto upwind de la tabla. La manera más fácil para ponerte de towside es haciendo un jibe de talones a dedos. Veámoslo más de cerca. Antes de empezar a hacer el jibe, asegúrate de que tus pies estén ubicados en la línea central de la tabla. Así, podés cambiar tu peso en un canto al otro sin mover tus pies. Al finalizar el jibe, cambia las manos de lugar para colocar el wing en la nueva dirección. Gira tus caderas y tu tronco hacia la nueva dirección y dale potencia al wing con la mano trasera trayéndolo hacia tu cintura. Tu brazo delantero tiene que estar estirado por delante de tu pecho. Continúa mirando hacia adelante en la dirección a donde querés ir. Concéntrate en el foil y controla la potencia del wing con tu mano trasera. Cuanto más gires tu cuerpo y más cierres el wing con tu mano trasera, más grande será el ángulo con el que puedas navegar. No vas a poder alcanzar el mismo ángulo upwind comparado a cuando vas de hillside, y navegar de towside puede ser un poco incómodo en distancias largas, pero para bordes cortos es una forma fácil y rápida para navegar sin la necesidad de cambiar la posición de tus pies. Recordemos los elementos claves. Empezá desde un heels a toes jibe y coloca el wing en la nueva dirección. Gira tu cintura y el tronco en la dirección de navegación. Enfócate en el foil y controla la potencia del wing moviendo tu mano trasera hacia la cintura. Disfruta de tu aventura con Duotone Wing Academy. Budapest se encuentra en el corazón de Europa. Tiene una pista de hielo única con hermosos edificios históricos a su alrededor. Después de que termine la temporada de patinaje sobre hielo, la superficie está perfecta para hacer snow kite con patines por un día.
Budapest is located in the heart of Europe. It has a unique ice rink with beautiful historic buildings around it. After the ice skating season ends, the ice starts to melt, but the surface is okay for kiting for one day. I was lucky this year. Some wind arrived with the snow and I could test this unique place. There was no steady wind due to the buildings, but I could manage these tricky conditions and I had fun with drifting cars.
Zona Kite es tu zona. Vos también sos protagonista de nuestro programa. Suscríbete a nuestro canal de YouTube y entérate de todo lo que pasa en el mundo del kitesurf. Los esperamos en la próxima edición de Zona Kite.